am currently wearing the latest and greatest Brace for Impact t-shirt. I bought one, Gerard bought one, so you guys can, if you guys are interested, you can buy them too. There will be a link in the description of the video. But I went crazy, and as you guys can see, I made a bunch of t-shirts because my free trial for Canva is about to expire, so I just went ape shit. But as you can see here, I got a Kendrick Lamar shirt, a new Mike and JD show shirt, and then I made a bunch of Brace for Impact stuff. Here we go. We got For the Sickos, Bad Tweets, more Brace for Impact. Another For the Sickos. I got I was thinking of I've always wanted a Buddy Rogers t-shirt, and I was like, nobody makes Buddy Rogers gear. You know, Buddy Rogers was the original Nature Boy. He was before Ric Flair. Of course, I had to make a Brock Purdy t-shirt, and then JD told me to make an F the Casual, so I got a couple F the Casuals, just one in red and one in silver. More Brace for Impact stuff. Here's the Big Con ones. I'm actually going to pull the Big Con ones down because I don't want to make money off of his name. But there you go, guys. Brace for Impact tees. It's a tpublic/user/brace-for-impact. So if you guys are interested in Brace for Impact tees, I made a bunch of t-shirts for you guys to check out. But yeah, so swig of coffee for the new Brace for Impact t-shirt and the new Brace for Impact store. All right, guys. So let me get to the top story. In chat, I'm gonna get to you guys. I want you guys to be a big part of this. I want you guys to be a big part of this tonight or today. So, Anthem Sports Group's newest CRO, Chief Revenue Officer, was on the Essentially Sports podcast. I actually listened to the whole thing. And on there, he was talking about securing new TNA distribution. And this is the first time that an Anthem executive has openly spoken about getting TNA on a different network than Access TV. I have heard folks like Len Asper and Ed Nordholm and even Scott D'Amore back when he was in charge. I've heard them talk about, well, hey, look, we're happy with Access. If the right deal came along, we'd be interested. But they would talk like that. They never openly spoke about the importance of getting a new distribution deal because they didn't want to put down Access TV. And recently, I think it was Sean Ross Sapp. I'm pretty sure it was Sean Ross Sapp. Was on one of his podcasts, or he was doing a Q&A, and he said he didn't think that Anthem was actually shopping TNA, although we had heard from guys like Santino, and we had heard from other people that people that work for TNA, but they're not they don't have any authority, they don't have no power, but they were all openly saying that they thought that TNA was being shopped around. They're shopping around Impact. Well, this is the first time that somebody like this high up publicly stated that that they're shopping a TNA to a new network. And I think it's a big deal because I've been saying on this thing forever that while I believed that if the right deal came along, they would take it to another network. But they were happy and content. Their content being content, right? For Access TV and for Fight Network, because that's why they bought the company. That's why Anthem bought the company. It was because, hey, look, we have Fight Network. We don't want this thing to go out of business. It is the #1 show on the Fight Network. We need to keep it. So they purchased it. And then they used that purchase to then it springboarded them to go buy Access TV. So they purchased it in 2017. And then in 2019, they purchased Access TV, and then they immediately put Impact on the channel. And then that became the #1 show on that network. So it made sense for them to want to keep it for the networks that they own, right? But now they're openly shopping Impact, which I think is big news. And the talk of the big new distribution deal is back, and my buddy Gerard, man, he is excited about this. This dude, I love Gerard. He writes about TNA for bodyslam.net. Shout out Gerard. And he used to do some stuff for me back in the day too, but he's a body slam guy. And well, a couple of years ago, I want to say 2 or 3 years ago, Len Asper made the grave mistake of taking to Twitter and saying that, talking about he's excited for TNA and that he had just secured a new big distribution deal for TNA. And the internet went crazy. And then Asper just didn't tweet for like weeks after that. he just kind of dropped a bomb and then just walked away. Well, then a couple weeks after that, TNA announced that they had secured distribution in Russia and throughout the Baltics and all of the like Chechnya and Ukraine and Uzbekistan and Uzbekistan and all that stuff. Serbia, you know. So they secured distribution throughout all those countries. And I was like, oh shit, that's what the whole thing was about. Well, Sean Ross Sapp on Fightful said he didn't think that's what it was about. And then I'll be straightforward. I emailed one of their PR guys, not Ross Foreman, but a different PR guy, said, hey man, you know, Len Asper said this, and then he hasn't talked about it since then. And then now we got this announcement of this Russia deal. Is this what he was talking about? And the guy replied back to me, is like, no, I don't think that's what he was talking about. So I was like, okay, this must not be it. Well, it turns out like it gets like revealed of like months later that yes, that's what the whole thing was about. That Len Asper was just up late night tweeting that he had secured this new big distribution deal. And it was a big deal. I mean, it wasn't like a money making deal. It didn't really do much for the company, but it added a lot of new eyeballs in an area of the world that they just weren't in. So it was like a big deal to him, but it wasn't really like it didn't do anything for the company. Like nothing improved. So that's what that whole thing was about. Well, Gerard has been retired since then, but now he's all the way back, and I'm excited for him because he was tweeting at Len Asper for every day for like a year about the big new distribution deal. So, but yeah, Rob Kligman, new CRO. And, you know, I first started thinking that this was going to be a possibility because Invicta got their deal on CBS Sports Network. So I was like, okay, well, since they're willing to leave Access TV, because if TNA Impact was number 1 on Access, I think number 2 was very likely Invicta. But we just hadn't seen Invicta on television for over 6 months. And it's because they were working on getting a new distribution deal. So Invicta leaves Access, goes to CBS Sports Network. This guy gets hired, and now they're openly talking about moving Impact off of Access. So yeah, he was on Essentially Sports, and he emphasized the importance of over-the-top distribution. So not only did he say he wants to go to a new cable home, he's looking for OTT, so over the top. So you're talking like Netflix, Peacock, Paramount. A streaming deal essentially, but in corporate speak, it's called OTT, over the top distribution. So the process for OTT is a big distribution area. That's something that we're looking for from an Anthem Sports perspective as we look at TNA, our wrestling deal. And for that, it's right now on a lot of FAST channels. So FAST is the free available streaming tier. So Pluto's, they're on Plex, they're on Lights Out Sports, they're on every kind of like free. They're not on Tubi, but they're on Amazon Freeview. So everything like that, there's a TNA channel on. Okay. OTT has given us an outlet that back 15, 20 years ago wouldn't have been around. The power of OTT is still going to be there. The simplicity of OTT is important, especially for opportunities that have content. We are content. I think content is king. And for us, OTT is not going to be the in factor. We're looking for a distribution deal that is going to be both OTT based, but also broadcast based to give us the largest audience possible. I don't think OTT is going anywhere. It's just going to continue to grow, and people want to reach their content where they're going to consume it. And that's a phone, a tablet, a pencil. From a gaming perspective, all these companies need to be on top of their game from an OTT perspective to make sure that they're streaming it in the places their consumers are going to watch it. So boom. So he hit the nail on the head there. He said that they want not only to be on an OTT streaming service, but they want to be they want to move to a broadcast station. Now, when he said broadcast, I think most people in the TV world, when they think broadcast, are thinking Fox, CBS, CW, NBC, ABC, all that. But I think any specific like cable channel is probably what he was talking about. I listened to the whole thing. This guy, he appears to be, he's very corporate speak type of dude. He's trying to say all the right things. He also was a bit full of shit in that interview. In fact, at one point he said, look, the only difference between, he said that when talking about the importance of distribution, he said the only difference between WWE and TNA is the distribution. They're just on a bigger platform. He said, but the production quality is the same. I was like, boy, don't say that. They're not even, they're getting closer now than they used to, but don't say that. Don't say that. I think that the production quality is as good now as it has been since Anthem. It's the best now that it's ever been since Anthem bought it, but they're still not as good as they were on Spike TV. A swig of coffee for Uzbekistan. But yeah, so he was a little bit full of crap, but yeah, he he but I think this is big news. I think it's huge news. Because I think that they're gonna go. I think they're gonna get a TV deal eventually. And I think the synergy with WWE is actually gonna help that. I'm not saying that WWE is going to help them get a TV deal, meaning like WWE personnel are going to call on their behalf or whatever.